Can you talk about how Amazon kind of like sorry, I was kind of surprised to go to an Amazon site to download
Hmm.
um the JDK yesterday.
Yeah.
Can we talk about did is Amazon kind of just taken over the language and kind of it's their child now, or how did that come to be?
It's still Oracle's language. Amazon, I honestly can't speak to that. I don't know like what the deal is. There I know there's a bunch of different versions of Java, different runtimes you can install. The Oracle is the one of the Oracle JDKs isn't open source. And there's certain levels of licensing that comes into play. Like
Okay.
if you build an application with Oracle's Java, then there's only certain things you can use it for. Whereas if you use an open source um, version of the JV no JDK, then
Yeah.
it's better. So that's why we use that one. There are
Okay.
others, but yeah, I don't know. Amazon is pretty much into everything, I guess.
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. All right, so let's make Hello World. So first thing we want to do is so this is the Hello World in the on the platform. So if I go, oops. So when we make our file, first step is we want to create a text file with a .java extension, right? The name we give to that file has to match our class name. Okay, so if I call my file hello world.java, my class has to be called the same as the file name. So my class has to be hello world. I'm sorry. Okay, so we create our file. Inside that file, we make our class. Has to be a class. That has to be the first line. Okay. Then we have the entry point to our application. So this method, I almost called it a function. This method, public static void main, is the entry point. All the code that we actually want to run has to be in this function. Okay, which I know sounds a little weird, but kind of think back to the Python where we did the Flask development. We had one file, we had server.py, which was how we ran our application. It's the same basic idea. We want to have a very entry point to our application, and then we modularize our code. We put all of our code that is running in other files, and it all sort of meets at this point. Okay. And then how do we console log or print in Java?
System.out.print.
Yeah. So it's not pretty, right? It's not as elegant as print for Python. It's not in console log. I don't know. It's about the same as console log in my view. So if we want to print something to the console, system.out.println. And we'll talk about what all these mean. System is basically a class in Java. Out is a method, and then println is a object, I think, of that method. But anyway, and then so let's demo this. So if I go to Visual Studio Code, I don't know if I want to save this. Yeah, why not? And again, if in my notes, day one, I'm lost in my notes. So I have this markdown file set up that's automatically going to create Hello World, and I think I already have it. No, I don't. Cool. So this creates a Hello World directory with a hello world.java. By the way, go to your extensions in Visual Studio Code and install it. Your Visual Studio Code will probably prompt you for this, but just search for Java and you want to install the extension pack for Java. This will give you some of the code completion stuff, make your life a little easier. Okay, so again, it'll probably prompt you as soon as you make a Java file, but just install that extension and it'll make writing code easier. Whoops, what did I do? Oh, okay. So I have my class. What's the first thing I need to do? What's the entry point to our application?
Arguments or something, or parameters.
Public
Static.
static void main, right? Has to be called that. We'll talk about what public static and void mean in a little bit, but just trust me on this for now. It's got to be written exactly like this. Inside of, as a parameter, we say string square brackets args, right? Which again probably looks weird. We'll talk about what that means in a little bit. And then again, we just put any code we want to run in here. Okay. And let me open this in a new window just in case I don't have. Sometimes Visual Studio Code gets confused if there's packages within packages. So I just open it in a new window. Okay. So I've got my hello world.java. Notice my file name corresponds to my class name. I've got my public static void main entry point. So whatever code I want to run has to go inside this method. And how do I print hello world to the console?
System.out.println.
Right. System.out.println. Okay. And then strings in Java have to have double quotes. Okay. If it's single quotes, it's a character, which we'll talk about in a second. But strings, you don't have the luxury of having single or double quotes. They have to be double quotes. And hello world. Okay. And don't forget that semicolon. Okay. Now, once you install the Java extension pack, there's going to be a run button right here. Feel free to use it. Okay. But just so we understand what's happening, let's do it the old fashioned way and let's actually compile this file and then run it. Okay. So how do I compile this?
Java C.
Java C. Cool. So Java C is for Java compiler, and then I give it the name of the file I want to compile. Hit enter. Boom. So as long as I don't see any output down here, everything went smoothly. No news is good news. And I see this .class file appear, right? So this is the bytecode. It's not even going to render it. Decompiling the class file will just basically take you back the other way. It'll just give you the code that generated this class file. Okay, so now now that I've compiled it, I want to run it. So to run it, it's just the Java and then the file name without any extension. And I get the hello world. Okay. Questions?
I'm assuming every time you make a change to hello world.java, you have to recompile.
It's like you're reading my mind. Exactly. So if I'm really excited about saying hello world, if I put exclamation points in here and I come down here and run my file again, I don't see the exclamation points, right? So when I go Java hello world, it's running the old .class file. It's running my old bytecode. So if I want to make the change, I got to do the extra step, Java C. Oops. What did I do? I broke it.
Java C the class file in the Java file.
Didn't I say .class?
It should be the Java file though, right? When you Java C it.
Yep, that's what I'm doing. .java. Now I'm clever. Cool. Java, and then hello world. There we go. So now the exclamation points are there. Okay. And again, when you don't have to do this every time you have the built-in run function, just use that. Okay, and it won't generate the class file, but Visual Studio Code will run the code for you. All right, and that's hello world. Okay, who's with me? So I have a poll and 4 points, right? So I can teach this stuff, I'm getting it, but I need a little practice. That's good. I mean, I'm not good. Okay, one person can teach. Whoa, 2 people can teach it. Awesome. Little lost, or I have no idea what this guy's talking about, right? So, and if you don't want to say, right, this is anonymous, by the way, and let me just end it, and I'll show you guys I always show the results where everybody's at. Again, you can always message me privately or message Christian if you have questions. Okay. Cool. Let's talk about variables. Actually,